It is another Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means it's time for this week's episode of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We have some new, recently WWE releases. We're going to talk about our thoughts about that, reactions and predictions for the future, possibly. And also, we have WWE Backlash coming to you this weekend. That and more on tonight's episode. Stay tuned. We'll be right back at you in one moment.
Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt. All I really want is that Big Gold Belt, 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 Big Gold Belt. All I really need, that Big Gold Belt.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. Tonight, it's us three, Nigeria, Jamal, and Damian here to talk this week's news, rumors, all that other good stuff in the world of professional wrestling. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good.
Knicks won, Mets won last night. I'm good.
Y'all New York fans crazy. I saw the craziest video earlier of the folks that's going crazy and celebrating in true New York fashion. You might need to prepare your bags, man, and get back home. You know, you might be headed towards the championship.
Listen, if they win the championship, I am going back home. I don't care if my boss says no. I don't care. I will gladly get written up if the Knicks win the championship.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, let's start with kicking off tonight's episode talking about the recent releases from WWE. Let's just be honest now. And it's not in the sense of, you know, the sensitization of it. But these things happen, and they actually happen around the same time every year. But this year, as of May 2nd, which was when was May 2nd?
About a week ago.
Yeah. Last Friday. So obviously we record. So the day after we finished recording here, we got a list of folks reported online. I think FIFO got ahead of it first, and now we got another group of folks that have been released from WWE. And to be accurate here, there are some releases, and I believe there's some folks who contracts that just wasn't going to be renewed, which in my eyes are kind of two different things. I think, you know, one is sort of a removal of a contract. One is like, well, when your time is up, you won't be coming back. And I guess you have the option of, I don't know, do they got the option to working it out, or you get that news and you're just like, all right, I'm good. Or maybe they let you know that and you just end up showing up, just kind of hanging in the back until it's your time. In the federal government, that is what they call administrative leave here. But you know there, these folks are now, as we like to say, featured endeavor from WWE. And that list is Dakota Kai, Core J, Gigi Dolan, Braun Strowman, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Shayna Baszler, Eddie Thorpe, and Riley Osborne. I guess we start off by saying, you hear that list, what is your thoughts, emotions, reactions? Jamal, we start with you.
Also included Joe Coffey, Shotzi Blackheart, and Wolfgang, among others. Did you say Jakara Jackson? Because I know Celis is somewhere in a dark corner.
Fault. It's all Celis' fault.
Good point. No, yes. I did not, but yeah.
Celis is in a dark corner somewhere, weeping openly. Without sounding trite, it is a business, and unfortunately, there are a lack of protections for employees in wrestling or contract work in general. Wrestlers should have a union akin to actors or electricians or even fat security guards. There's no way in the hell that they should be able to do that job without some safety nets to get themselves through and out of the business. There's similar setups for sports leagues. Why isn't there one set up for wrestling? And because there isn't, we get a black trash bag day like we have every year just after the Royal Rumble, and then a smaller black trash bag day in the fall where, and I call it that because that's what happened a few years ago. WWE put a lot of people's stuff that they were, departing from the country in a black trash bag with their name on it and put it by the front door and told them, we wish you well in your future endeavors. With that said, there are some people that are more surprising than others. Some names that I really don't know, and I don't know why that is. It's different in wrestling than sports. How do you judge performance accurately? You can look at a box score and see what a sports individual is doing, but how do you measure success in wrestling?
I mean,
so for Braun Strowman, for example, you would think that a guy like him has everything that you would want from WWE, and yet his name is on the list. So if not him, then what are you looking for?
So okay,
sales.
So we'll come back to you in a minute. I'm curious, Damien, your thoughts or reactions to the names. Anybody jump out to you or any narrative piece you want to run on it?
I mean, aside from the Sellers putting the jinx on Jakari Jackson, I hate you, Sellers. I think the most surprising name, even though I understood it, was Shayna Baszler. Partly because she was one of Triple H's proteges during his running of NXT. And then when she was brought up, she demolished all these women in the Elimination Chamber, bit Becky Lynch like she was a vampire from Sinners, and that was it.
You didn't watch that movie?
Yeah, I did. I went back and watched it. I was peeking out like this, though. For those that don't know, at Big Gold Belt Media, I am the one person on the team that probably doesn't watch horror movies. So
no, Jamal doesn't either.
One of the two.
Not alone.
I haven't seen Sinners, so
yeah. If they remade the 8-bit version that I saw on the internet, I would watch that because it's Nintendo characters. That's fine. But going back to Shayna Baszler, like that was surprising to me because, and then she had just competed in Bloodsport like a week prior at Mania weekend. So the timing was a bit odd. I know the internet's a little concerned and they were freaking out about Dakota Kai. Injury prone is the word you could use. But at the same token, it was like, she's another one that was one of Hunter's NXT folk that they just couldn't use properly after that mid-card feud was over for the IC Women's title with Lyra. But that my reaction is just, it was more anger last week or frustration last week, and now this week it's like Jamal said, we're so accustomed to this. We did a show like this maybe about a year and a half ago, and Mickie James had her, or 2 years ago, with her trash bag of doom.
Yeah.
So this happens. I don't like it, but if you're a 1099 and you're an at-will employer, as someone who works in government, I understand this. Yeah, not surprised this happened.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nobody wants anybody to lose their job.
I do.
Wrestling, the world of wrestling right now is very healthy. The opportunities are limitless. Also think the independence, not the independent wrestling, but like the independence is also very healthy as well. A lot of these folks on this list, Shayna, Dakota, Katana, Caden, excuse me, they all run other bits of content. You know, they stream, so they get the idea of like really utilizing your platforms and growing your fan base and in multiple avenues. And even Braun does a lot of recreational stuff, I would say, as well too, in the world of bodybuilding. And he's also a car enthusiast, which, by the way, just might just be the craziest take here ever. But I would be very cool. And I don't know if they're like, I never seen them hang with each other, but the fact that Shayna and Braun both love cars and both have built cars, I mean, I think there's content for them to be made here. Maybe they may pick up the phone and figure something out. But like, you know, for me, it's like, as the fan of theirs, you remain a fan of them. You want to see what happens after this. And I've heard some things about Braun Strowman being able to return on some particular causes within his contract. I read something in the sense of like he could return if needed, so he has more like an ad hoc relationship with them. And that's cool, you know, if that's the case, you know, if he could come in when he wants and how they need and whatnot, and he gets a good check, which they said he was being paid very well, which good for him to be able to get that. You know, it's just one of the things. It's to kind of see, like, you know, let's see what's next. Let's see how they utilize this freedom. Whether they go out there, reinvent themselves and come back, whether they go to another promotion instantly, whether they step away from wrestling in overall and figure out something else. So it's going to be interesting. I think Shayna Baszler is 100% going to be the one to watch here. I think that just again with how healthy wrestling is, her showing blood sport, how much money I'm sure she can make on the indies, but just somebody who understands content creation should be a lot of fun. And then just to look at the NXT folks, I mean, they're all fairly young, but a lot of them have a lot of time under their belt. They'll be good. This is one of those ones where you 100% go out there, reinvent yourself, work the TNA, come through the back door if need be, which I expect Cora Jade to land there tomorrow. And then work their way back if that's what they choose, or work in another direction if that's what it is. So, you know, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we definitely say, oh, wow, like what happens? You know, you work hard and hopefully you get another chance. But right now, I think there's got to be offers for everybody or potential for everybody in all different directions if they choose to pursue wrestling and really feel like firm about that decision. Because some people left and that was just it. No more wrestling for them. Don't care about it. And that goes to my question, which is why I wanted to come back to you, Jamal, is because you talk about this is really no metrics or analytics or how do you judge one's performance? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that it is a sense of maybe they measure in dedication. I know that's not sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? But
well,
like
that's a hideously biased metric.
For sure. But you know, the folks who show up to work on time, the ones who put in the extra
by
work.
that metric, though, you should get your black trash back tomorrow. Because if we went through all of the shows that do a thing, if we just judge it about people that are front and center of the camera, then you're going to get a hefty bag when you're tied to your door. That doesn't mean and overlook the fact that you do so much other stuff that people won't see or ever know about. But to be fair, if the metric is just who is dedicated to the product and the product is this, and we thank you all for tuning in, then that's a hideously unfair metric to judge it by that thing.
And that's my biggest take always with these releases. I say it all the time. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Some people could say, hey, I'm out once the contract's up. So don't even look forward to renewing me. Or just the people just like, I'm not happy. And they're like, well, we don't have anything for you. And it's like, well, it sounds like we don't have a relationship anymore at this rate. You know what I mean? And it could be that. And it could be the some of the things of who's showing up to work on time, and if you're not on TV, what are you doing to still stay relevant? You know, are you marketing? Are you branding properly? I mean, it could be anything. Do you have strikes that we suppressed? You know, and things that you could have got in trouble about that they might not disclose. Like it could be a lot of different things, which is why, like, as the fan, where I really just like to stay at is that we hope for better and future endeavors, and whatever is ahead of you, we wish much success, because there's just so many variables behind the scenes that we just don't know. The problem is the lack of empathy and understanding for the situation, and for the IWC, that everybody needs to know everything. They always got to be right. And if one person even rumors one thing, that somehow becomes law. And that's the thing that everybody runs to the outfield with. And that's just the problem. So I forgot who it was a couple of years ago, but I know there was somebody that I felt very passionate that they wanted to be released. And then they were released. And then everybody was like, oh my God, you released them. It's like, did you ever consider that maybe they wanted the release?
Yeah.
That they needed the time Away.
Mustafa Ali literally begged for a year to get that done. Cedric Alexander, who is a free agent as of like yesterday morning, yesterday or today morning, was like, I'm good here. And then there have been other people that have quietly asked for a release and then loudly asked for a release and then had to wait, an extra 6 months for whatever reason. But back to the inability to accurately gauge success, whoever these people are, and I'm looking at a list of 18 names, we don't know where the line is between we don't see a future with you, because we're trying to get out of the prototypical WWE look in Braun Strowman, for example. We're trying to get younger. We're trying to get faster. We're trying to get more athletic. So we'll take 3 Logan Pauls over 1 Braun Strowman. So, Braun, sorry, that's what it is. Juji Dolan, for example. You love the character, love the gimmick. We thought that's what we wanted in NXT at that time. And now that NXT is fully integrated in the main roster pattern, we don't really see that character moving forward. We're trying to get away from the femme fatale type of a thing. So sorry, we don't really see you in that thing. Shayna Baszler, cool. Next, and so on and so forth. That doesn't really speak to anybody's individual level of talent or acumen or what they bring. And that's, of course, the conversation that we have every time we cover this thing, where it's just like, we know that you don't fit here because you've been, a catering champion for the past 18 months. We hope that you will take your business, somewhere else and do better somewhere else. Yeah. So I think for a lot of the fans online, it's, oh no, the one place that I watch wrestling will not have the person that got 5 minutes of screen time last week. Whatever will I do? How dare you take my segment away from me? And realistically, that is not sustainable for any party.
Yeah, listen.
So, go ahead.
It's like if you watch Dragon Ball and for whatever reason they was just like, you know what? Krillin won't be on the next 10 episodes. And everybody's like,
no. It's even worse. It's even worse. If you're a Yamcha stan, then you are done. It's a wrap for you. You've had a bad 20 years.
If you're a Yamcha fan, all hope is lost. I feel bad.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. The stock is down. Jump
and like, listen, I just become more fans of the folks who take the positive attitude out there and
uh-oh.
I think Boss Man froze.
It's the small internet.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, you're right. I said is, I always go back to the folks like the Cody Rhodes, the Jinder Mahals, the
Drew Galloway,
Drew McIntyre, the folks that went out there and they said, all right, well, if I'm released, then I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna figure it out. And they come back and they all became world champions. And I think if there's any better measure of inspiration, then you have to give Matt Cardona his props too. Like, he didn't go back, but like, he made a name for himself on his indies. He's probably more popular than he's ever been. And whether you're like, well, it's not WWE is not successful, but that isn't always the path. And
that's been less true over the recent last 2 years.
Literally about to say, Joe Hendry is literally that right now. He is full-time employed with TNA. He is damn near full-time employed with WWE at this point. He's having moments. Jordan Grace, who we can always refer back to, and I'm surprised nobody has really asked her this in or more of her public side of things, because she used to be very anti interviews, which I don't blame her, because interviews were super cringy back in the day. But she always said that WWE wasn't the goal. So you have to think, for somebody that felt that way passionately, what about the world of professional wrestling changed that opened up the idea besides just the dollar? And I doubt it was the dollar, because it never was mentioned the dollar. It was always about the wrestling. It's always about the happiness. And I'm sure the money definitely helps. But like, what about the landscape of wrestling decides that you wanted to go in that direction when you had it
competition?
Yeah. And I just think that's the idea of saying, like, everybody's path and journey isn't the same. Everybody in game isn't the same. One thing you thought was probably isn't, and one thing that isn't probably could be. So you just have to just get out there and figure out what you want to do. And I think, it's going to be interesting. So therefore, let's talk about this really quickly with this. It's a bunch of names here. Pick one and tell me where you see them in the next 6 months.
The easy answer are the names that you know: Strowman, Cora Jade, Dakota Kai, Baszler, Shotzi, Blackheart. Those are the names that you know. The names that you don't know, that not necessarily don't know, but the names that are less popular, with more of a road to go, maybe your Eddie Thorpe or your Joe Coffey or your Jakara Jackson, I think a lot of them will move into alternative media, whether that's curating content in some other form online, with the occasional, with a mix of some wrestling and fan conventions, formerly known as WWE's whoever. I think that's going to be the thing in the immediate future. But again, as you just said, not everybody's path forward is 300 days a year, bumps in the road, making towns. Maybe just, and we don't know the difference between, damn, I thought I was going to retire here and I'll never come to Wichita again. As you got to make those towns. And I can definitely see a lot of them going in the mixed media route. They have some presence, they have some name, and I hope that they take the opportunity to springboard that into other creative ventures. So that's where I see a lot of them next 6 months.
Damn.
If we're going just one, I would say Jakara Jackson winds up in TNA. Because she's just like Cora, she's done an appearance there previously with Lash, but her potential is so great from an athletic and a performance standpoint.
Not if you have some
that
cells.
I can see TNA taking a shot with developing her. And they do have a track record for developing less seasoned talent, in the knockouts division specifically. So I can see that being the next.
Does that change with Gail not being there?
We haven't seen that yet. At least in my opinion, we haven't seen the ramifications.
What do you think? And Scott's not there. I
was going to say, if you factor in Scott and you factor in Gail no longer being there, yeah, I could see that being a hindrance. But the knockout division, well, Mickie James is still there, and I'd like to think she has a pull backstage as like Gail 2.0.
I didn't know she was still there. How is she still there? And she was just on the WWE show. I could have sworn
she was under contract with them still.
She was just on the WWE show, the LFG. Now, even
still, she still has a rep within TNA, even if she's not there on a contract basis.
Be politically correct. If she's not in there, then she's not going to be in the locker room. So, I mean, listen, is Tessa Blanchard your locker room leader here?
Oh, fuck no. Shoot, I would just want to see a program between her and Tessa and Jakara, to be quite frank. That would get me to tune in.
Mickie James was with OVW right now. Creative director, head of talent, executive producer. So in the WWE pipeline. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if we're going, not with them.
If we're going with the one, I would, and I'm still thinking of the knockouts division, could always use depth. I would say Jakara. But if I'm saying who's going to probably make the most appearances, crap. I can see Eddie Thorpe going back to New Japan because he was from there previously, or at least wrestling in Japan. I know he left on kind of like a sour taste, but I know New Japan is still kind of hurting for male talent. So I could see him going there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be politically correct for once in my life and say I do agree with Crab's alternative media for certain people. Yeah. They're going to break the bank, especially with one announcement that said, June 5th or June something, be prepared. And they already got pre-orders, I'm sure. So
you're talking about the Braun Strowman meat package.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that one. We'll go with him going to Vegas and being a furry.
Hey, what? Whoa. All right. Then.
So that's what I mean by alternative media. Like the Mandy Rose route. I don't need to take bumps. I can make money off the IWC and then keep it moving.
Yeah.
Cameo,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, I think Eddie Thorpe is somebody that I could see TNA taking a look at, could see AEW possibly looking into. But if not, New Japan, they'll just go back. But I think this is definitely, of all of the releases that we've seen in the last few years, I think this may be the one that has the most potential, because there's a lot of youth and experience, but still a lot of people who just hasn't hit their ceiling. Braun Strowman and Shayna Baszler are definitely towards the end of their tenure, but I also still think that they got a lot of content creation opportunities with them. But everybody else, I still think like they haven't hit their full stride. They've had moments and little blurps where you're like, oh, this could be it. But I still think there's so much more left in that. Like Kaden and Katana, I think they're a fun tag team, and I think they could, man, could they do a run in something like Stardom? You know, that matter of fact,
I love that.
Matter of fact, Casey Catanzaro, I believe is her name. She might be one of the best fits for New Japan, and if she gets to learn that strong style, I think her stock, with her athleticism and her ninja warrior background and gymnastics background, I mean, she comes back. She comes back and she becomes, you know, Io Sky 2.0, because she can do the flips, and she got all the coordination in the world, and I think you know, she's been and had flares of good moments, so that could be something.
So I'm not down in any of this, but the one thing that's eating at me, I don't think this is a buyer's market this time. Unlike previous years where we went, damn, how did you let this, and this person go? You know, what are you trying to do? Or back when the old man was running things, like, okay, well, you hired all these people as spite hires to spite AEW, and now that you don't need them anymore, you let them go. Like, okay, well, these things make sense. Now it's just like, well, I can see how you're moving on from these individuals, but then also it's not necessarily a buyer's market where you're thinking, oh, well, she's a shoo-in for TNA or AEW or New Japan or Stardom or Tokyo Joshi Pro or Deadlocked or whoever around the country, around the world. And then that's also a thing too. I just got let go from WWE. Let me renew my passport and pack my shit and get on a 15-hour flight to Japan. That is a thing that can happen if you want to go that way.
You have 30 and 90 long good days to think about this.
True. Assuming that your contract didn't expire yesterday. Because if it did, you can be on that flight right now.
That's right. And only those are the names that you keep mentioning. The I can't. That had to be the chance. That had to be this situation with Sachi, because no one's saying that she's been released. So
right,
what her contract was expiring. Who else were you naming with her?
Let me go back to the list. Wolfgang.
Wolfgang and then what's the name?
Gallus.
Gallus, yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely not saying somebody got fired today, packed their bags from Orlando. It's like, you know what? What's a nice little 15, 16-hour flight with me right now? No.
And I wouldn't be surprised if people re-sign after their deals are up or their 90 days are up and they come back on a lower rate.
It could restructure.
Possibly. That happens in all sports where there's like a contract restructure, especially in the NFL. So it's
just because you're not drafted doesn't mean you won't make it to the league.
Correct. So my question is, and maybe you guys know, if some of these wrestlers go over to TNA and they still have a WWE arrangement, do you keep those people off of WWE specific TV, or do you bring them back like Elias popped up the other day?
I don't think that I'm just going to bring it up. Elias showing up is the biggest indication that if it makes sense for programming, they're just going to let it flow. They'll use it on social media. I don't think it hurts nobody. That's the one thing that I think this partnership between the two is realizing that it's not hurting anybody to legitimately present it as an entire package of a show. Yeah. We don't have to delineate the talent between who's with them and who's with them. It's like if you're on TV, we're talking about it. Whatever way you want to cross the line, we're talking about it. And honestly, that's why I say this is the healthiest it's been, because AEW did a horrible job with their abuse of Impact back in the
abuse?
day.
God damn.
Damn sure was.
That was abuse. Yeah, it was.
Damn sure was. I mean, let's just keep it honest. We'll go to a quick break. But like Joe Hendry's a bigger star than he ever could imagine he would be in the last year, and WWE 100% had part in that. He definitely did a lot of his own work. Which, by the way, if anybody's been a fan of his since day one, the music has never changed. It's the same music from ROH. So,
Correct.
What might have got it as big as it did? What was him utilizing social media? TNA saying, this might be something. People,
I mean, to be fair, Joe Hendry's been doing the same thing since Ring of Honor. He just gets to do it in front of more people.
Yeah.
And because I mean, when he was in Ring of Honor, he was hot. When he was went
That's
to TNA, hot. Came through on WWE, hot. So it wasn't like he's been that guy because he's that guy, not because he is. I wouldn't say, that's TNA superstar Joe Hendry. That would actually be a discredit to him.
That's just Joe Hendry.
Yeah, exactly. With that said, though, and I'll make it really quick because we're going to go to break. As far as people go, what they're doing is, and this is genius, a little bit evil, is that WWE gets to outsource their talent and piggyback off of the clout that they bring when they come back and pop up as a new thing, reaping the social media benefits, which turns into, growth and income. They don't have to spend any money on anything. That's not even their contracted talent, and they reap all the benefits on social media, which turns into engagement, which turns into money. And the only thing they have to do is go, oh shit, that's Elias. No, I'm not Elias anymore. Blah blah blah.
He's Ezekiel.
Cool.
Elijah.
Yeah.
I know.
Mordecai, whatever the hell his name is. But the idea is they get to reap all the benefits and do none of the work, and it's genius and evil.
It's no different than TNA social media. The moment they see anybody that ever
they are
walks in
on
there,
point with that. Exactly.
I mean,
yes.
they have AI tools or something, because the way they got something
Within
queued
moments.
up, you just mention and say AJ Styles and blah blah blah. They're like, oh, and by the way, back in da da da.
Yeah, remember when we did that?
Yeah, it's a healthy time, and it's a lot to be excited for. So we'll definitely see where these folks end up at. Well, obviously the 30 or 90 days, depending on their no compete clause. We'll see what happens. But this is one of the ones where it's really up to determine to them to whatever they want to do next from this point. But if you're a fan now, you'll be a fan then. Anyway, commercial, come back, and then we hit the second half. We got to talk Backlash this weekend, if there is anything to be excited about. Maybe, right? Seeing this wrestling. We'll see. Anyway, we'll be back in one moment.
Looking to get your brand in front of people who eat, sleep, and breathe entertainment? Big Gold Belt Media is the place to be. We're all about reporting on movies, TV shows, conventions, and everything in between. And we want your brand to be a part of the action. Partnering with us means your sponsorships get featured right in the midst of our content. Plus, we're going to hype you up on all of our social media, connecting you with an audience that loves discovering new things from trusted voices in entertainment. We're easy to find. Just look for us on Big Gold Belt on all your social media platforms. Don't wait, reach out today, and let's start building something amazing together. Your spotlight is waiting here at Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back for the second half of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. Yeah, reach out to us if you are interested in any collaborations, sponsorships, and all those other things that it can help us help you, and vice versa. It's like the TNA and WWE relationship. Like, let's help each other grow.
Let us be your TNA.
Backlash this week in the best city in America. Says nobody, in baby Baltimore, St. Louis, Missouri, May 10th, where, first of all, I just gotta say the nostalgic feel of seeing Cena and Orton on the poster definitely gets me hyped. I can't even lie. It's
This would be enthralling if we could hear
Right.
This year's commentary.
Yeah, he doesn't know he's muted. But he's very excited about what he's saying to you, and I can relive, is that how much he loves the city of St. Louis and how he wishes he can drink from the Mississippi River right now, and how Backlash, starring Cena and Orton for the last time ever, is going to be one of the greatest matches of the 20th century. And I know, just nod your head if you agree with me. It's okay. It's okay. I take it.
What in the IT is going on tonight? Who hacking us? Who we say something?
TNA. We were besmirching them.
It's Scott D'Amore. He got the Canadians on.
They put a tariff on our damn podcast tonight. It's crazy out here. I don't even know what I was getting at, but it's 5 matches this weekend in St. Louis for Backlash 2025. I'm just looking at the card. John Cena, Randy Orton, Laura Valkyria, Becky Lynch, Pat McAfee, Gunther, Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Dominic versus Penta. 5 matches. I love it. I absolutely love it. In and out. Anything that excites you all, any predictions for the card? What are you hoping to get from Backlash? A pay-per-view that I always say is easily, if you watch it, I guess. If you miss it, oh well. And then obviously fitting, they put it in the best city in America, baby, Baltimore, Missouri, St. Louis. So yeah, that tells you how they feel too. So, nonetheless, anything that jumps out to you all on this card.
Chingy will not stand for the St. Louis stance. How dare you? I think as far as the match goes, because it's really only 4 matches. If you think Pat McAfee versus Gunther is going to be something more than nothing, they got a bridge in Cincinnati to sell you that's better than the one in Brooklyn. With that said, I think that Dominic Mysterio versus Pentagon Jr. is the most interesting, just to see how they mesh together from a match standpoint. I want to see a women's match that is more than just we're friends, best friends, former students, lovers, teachers, whatever, mutual relationship, and now we got to fight about it for whatever reason. At this point, I don't care what the match is. If it's based on that storyline, then I'm over it. The Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. title is fine, but it's the U.S. title, so it's not like I'm desperate to see who wins that. And the fact that there's no other championships involved. Like, where is the tag team title? Is that not?
We got 4 championship matches: undisputed, intercontinental, and.
But so you're telling me that Pat McAfee versus Gunther is a pay-per-view match and not a Shotgun Saturday Night match?
Well, that's the only one that is just a singles match.
Exactly. So you're telling me that their feud is big enough to not have a title match there?
No, I'm fine with that. This is built like a takeover for me. I'm always going to be down for 5 matches.
And the rumor is that this match is supposed to build to something bigger for Gunther after this. So if it's used as a vehicle, apparently it might be Goldberg with the retirement match. It doesn't really matter to me. I will say for the women's match, I am interested in that. My bias notwithstanding. Just because I want to see how they integrate Bayley if they do, because remember, Bayley was tagging with Lyra. Everyone thinks that Bayley was going to wrestle Lyra for the title or betray her, and then Becky wound up doing it. So there might be a thing between Becky and Bayley that they're leading up to, or a triple threat match for the women's IC title. And for the Fatal 4-Way, the only thing I'm interested in is who's going to take the pinfall, because you got Priest, you got LA Knight, you got Jacob. Who's the 4th person?
Drew.
And Drew. Those are people that probably wouldn't be taking the fall if they had a one-on-one match. So the fact that it's a Fatal 4-Way leads to shenanigans, potentially, because there's no DQ in a Fatal 4-Way. So I would just want to see how this further propels Jacob and who takes the pinfall.
The only reason I really care about the Lyra and Becky match is to your point about Bayley, but I am looking to see Becky really to start to get her legs back under her. Her last few outings, she doesn't look as crisp as she usually do, which you could expect. She took some time off. But listen. Something I've been really begging for, and I don't know, was it going to be with Dominic or was it going to be with Chad Gable? I am looking for them to build a heel against luchadors in the same fashion that they used to build, or that they built Chris Jericho back in the WCW days, where he was literally a menace against this whole subset of wrestlers. Like if you wore a mask, he was on your ass, and I would like to see that sort of villain or that sort of heel be built again. But nonetheless, listen, I gotta say I was very happy with Dominic getting the title at Mania. And that would be cool to kind of see him get a legitimate run. But like as Jamal says, Styles and just seeing his growth, like Dominic is an interesting case study of success in WWE. He didn't go to NXT. He worked very closely with his dad. And for whatever reason, it brushed off in the most organic heel way ever. His dad is the biggest babyface in the entire world in terms of pop culture, pro wrestling. Everybody knows this guy. It's funny to me because I think I always say, like, before there was Travis Scott, there was Rey Mysterio, because everybody knows these dudes. But I just think, like, how in the world did your dad get so he's so popular and you just became the biggest heel in all of pro wrestling, and didn't even have that much time and experience actually wrestling? He's been around the business forever, but it's been the most very interesting case to watch. And I'm just, anything Jacob Fatu do, I'm with it. I need him to be champion for at least to the Rumble, at least to the point where they're getting ready to put him near the world title. So a win for him here, and whoever like if he pins Drew, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then John Cena and Randy Orton. I mean, what do we have here? I do not see a clean finish here at all. The Rock shows up finally, day after work to do one of them random gestures again.
He'll be the anonymous GM like those old school days. He'll just come in via like a megaphone or something, some sort of audio.
Yeah, so I don't know. I expect that to be a very comical finish of sorts. Peacemaker just announced this return for season 2. You got to have Cena in that belt on the red carpet somewhere. So, and actually, he has like 2 movies coming up. So it's a movie and a show. So I expect Cena in the publicity run with it. He'll be champion for a little while. We'll just have to wait till all that plays out. So, but Randy Orton losing in his home city. I mean, it's not that it hasn't happened before, but man, how's that about to go over? So. Yeah, nobody wins in St. Louis.
They're trying to make Cena the biggest heel they can before he takes the belt home to Western Massachusetts. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying that that's the only way it's got to go, but people want to heel Cena. He's here now. They're pissed. Well, isn't that surprising? The internet thinks they want something, they get it, and then they're not nowhere near satisfied.
Humans,
right? But I do think that because it's not about now. Everything that Cena does is about December. It really doesn't matter what he does now. I don't see Orton taking that belt from him. There is nothing for him to do with it. I don't see whoever else that he faces over the next 20-ish dates that he has to do, including Australia, including SummerSlam, including, a trip to Europe, including Saudi Arabia. You got to think like down the line, who do they want as champion in for the Saudi show, whatever they do it in October or something like that? They want John Cena for the last time to come in as champion. So that's also kind of the thing about this show in particular, not the 5 matches, not the fact that Pat McAfee is taking up more screen time. It's really just the fact that none of it really has any teeth. And it just feels like a really special episode of Raw. And that's, obviously what you get from these B+, pay-per-views, but it's kind of like, don't just have 4 great shows. If you're going to do the premium live event, make them premium. I don't think this feels premium.
I mean, it is Backlash. Oh, let me be correct. It is WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, but
And
it should
isn't
be
this the
Backlash
first
in your
Backlash
house.
that's been statewide in 2 years? Stateside in 2 years? Because last year it was France, and then the year before that was Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And I mean, again, there's no shade to those markets because those markets are under service, but
And the biggest thing about those shows were the crowds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing you take away from those shows. Bad Bunny's entrance and Yeet in Lyon, all over Lyon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you're going to get is probably like Nelly and Orton coming out.
Oh God.
Well, listen, if it was one thing about Nelly, my Nelly will absolutely what's the word I want to look for here? I gotta think what's the word I want to look for here? But you see what happens when you give Nelly $1. He'll show up for whatever. Just don't forget where he performed at. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah. Janelle Monáe is who I was thinking about, who had some choice words for Nelly.
Yeah, well, she's from Kansas City. They're hating, so.
But yeah, y'all here jucking and jiving for that guy, you know, not gonna go over good.
No,
but yeah, I don't know, man.
But I'm just saying, like, well, if we can't get Nelly, we can get Akon. He's from St. Louis.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was from Florida. Anyway, I think that's it for Backlash. I guess we'll see what happens next week. That was it kind of for our show notes, but I figured we have to bring up some of the other things that kind of popped up over the last like 12 hours on the net, because you know the IWC is always a place to get your daily dose of rumors and BS.
You know, they're starting to get more entertaining than actual wrestling at this point, because there's always something messy going on. And thusly, now we're going to talk about something that they did again. So
yeah. Patrick Clark is talking. What's your thoughts,
bro?
Why?
That's all I'm gonna say, bro. No.
What's your thoughts?
No, okay. Well, what did he say? I didn't.
What did he say?
My bad. So Patrick Clark is upset at a lot of people because he felt like
because there's no statute of limitations.
That's what he thinks.
He
wants his job back, and he feels like he's
better
than
people
that are still there. He has a lot. Let me see if I can pull out
that the company that just let a bunch of people go for a litany of reasons, gave them the walking papers, didn't even announce it. The talent themselves announced it after some reports came out and said, yeah, it's true. I'll see you in 90 days. The company that discreetly shit-canned a bunch of people, you know, last week in their WrestleMania spring cleaning, he wants to go back to there because he thinks that they owe him that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Pat.
That's what they owe you.
Yeah, Pat. No. Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. There's no.
The store is closed to one Patrick Clark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean your pictures on the front is behind the cash register, bro. They're not going to take checks from you no more.
Is he one of the biggest bag fumbles of all time in terms of wrestling potential?
No. Are you kidding me?
No.
One of
I still think it's. I don't know. Jack Swagger to me is definitely one of the ones where you're just like they're really about to push this guy forward. And what did he have?
Besides speech impediment?
No. Yeah, he got into some out of work trouble. Anyway, let me go back to Patrick Clark real quick. So I'm looking at a couple of quotes that was brought up. So he said that a lot of you all owe me an apology for dragging me through the mud. Knowing 5 years later, here I stand still free without a single charge. It's very hard for people to admit when they were wrong and malicious. If you love me, like you say you love me, the boss, Triple H, HBK, pay attention to social media. It's simple. We want Dream and spam Triple H, WWE. They will hear you. We can make enough noise to drown out the lies and hate. A lot of you all owe me an apology for dragging me to the mug, But I get it. It's very hard for people to admit when they're wrong and malicious. So
You know what he sounds like, right?
Kanye.
He sounds like Diddy Kaepernick.
Yes, he does. Diddy
Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
How's that trial going, by the way? That's the start this week, right?
Yeah, the jury selection is underway, and that's going to be a long. They got to move the trial to the moon if they want to select a jury, fairly. That's a different podcast, though.
Okay,
I mean,
so
let's just get to it, though. I mean, do y'all want to see him back?
Hell effing no. And you know what? Let me spin it off of him real quick. IWC. I know I talked about on my Twitter or X about the pettiest reason I dumped someone because she wanted to forgive Hogan. But the fact that y'all want to forgive Patrick Clark for what he did, saying like, oh, he learned from his mistake. I'm sorry. No. Bruh. Vince ain't in charge anymore. We ain't going to take you back just because you can make me money. No. You are gone. You are banned. Like Krabs said, you are on that watch list. You are on the wall at the mail, at the post office and the supermarket. No.
Yeah. Okay. So it's one thing. I mean, Diddy obviously, but the Kaepernick thing, and don't get me wrong, I think Kaepernick got railroaded, and I'm not saying that he didn't, but it's also that no one's owed employment. That's not how America works. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid reasons why people don't get the job that they deserve. It's never been a meritocracy. That's a different problem, though. And there are laws to prevent that bullshit because people do that because nepotism exists and cronyism exists and a bunch of different things. None of those things have to do with Patrick Clark. And that's a different problem. Yes, he's absolutely right. Look him up in the state of Maryland. You won't find a charge from him other than a couple of speeding tickets. Look him up in Pennsylvania. You really won't find what you're looking for there. But that was also 5 years ago. I don't know how old he is now, but add 5 to what you thought it was. Do they want that in an era where WWE is aggressively trying to get younger and reach the TikTok generation where they are? That's why I Show Speed was at, who I just learned was an actual name of a person, was at the Royal Rumble. That's why whoever the rapper is from that had the mosh pit that killed people was at WrestleMania.
Travis Scott.
Yeah,
no, Travis Scott.
Sure. I'm old. I don't know who these kids are. But they're actively trying to do that. That's why Pat McAfee is the new Mauro Ranallo, because they're tapping into the algorithm that tells them this is what we want the people to want. And I'm not saying that there isn't a place for Patrick Clark in wrestling. I'm just saying that wrestling is in Jessup at the state pen.
I'm just gonna say this. Like,
and if you know Jessup, you know.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
This isn't the way you go about it, regardless of how we feel. You handle business behind doors, and
he did
whatever he was accused of, or whatever he's done. It's been so long. I don't recall it fully, but I will say that I know what was some of the labels and things sort of tagged to it, the sort of the tone, the temperature of the water that was tagged to him. I know that. I feel that. And I think about somebody like Jonathan Majors, where in your return back to Marvel, or even just back to Hollywood, you never had to come out and say, Kevin Feige, you owe me Kane the Conqueror, because I would never But no, much like you said, I wrote a letter, and that's just it.
Right.
And we'll see what happens. And if he returns back to Marvel and the MCU, then the public perception and everything, and there was some legality still involved with that, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I think if Patrick Clark was to return, number one, the video I watched felt like a damn promo, because he said he's going to basically say he's going to expose people, which is funny, because for lack of better words, he's basically accusing cancel culture for canceling him and cost him all these
wants to do
things. So
the
he's
same
like, well,
thing.
fine. If you did that to me, I'm gonna do it to you. Obviously, anybody with any bit of common sense know that's just bad for business. Period. You don't need that around.
So let's say this then. So you mentioned Jonathan Majors. I'm going to throw Will Smith out there. And there are a number of other people that have had questionable things that have come back from a bunch of different things. But let's stick with the black ones because we're not playing with the same in the same ballpark. You know, because nobody questions Johnny Depp, nobody questions Robert Downey Jr. But they've had questionable past as well, not necessarily in a legal sense. But
to be fair, really quick on Johnny Depp, all they did was question him, and all of a sudden, even to the court of public opinion, even though he, I would say, essentially won his case, there's still that bit of slander kind of attached to him.
Yeah, tell that to the fans that were waiting outside to pack the courtroom. That was, with the Johnny Depp signs. I'm saying, like, it's not.
City.
And even still, Johnny Depp didn't get the coverage that Jonathan Majors did, and we know why.
Yeah, 100%.
Right,
100%.
So with that said, though, Jonathan Majors went through his ordeal, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Came out, really nothing of it. There's been some back and forth about whether or not a trial can go forward. Will Smith, no charges filed. Hideously embarrassing internationally public incident. Even at the International Space Station, they saw that shit and laughed at him. And the worst thing you can do, and they blackballed him. And Jonathan Majors, they blackballed him.
Yeah.
Will Smith put out an album, has other projects in the work. Doesn't matter. But he still put it out. Yeah. Did what he wanted to do. Got that going. And then Jonathan Majors put out a movie. Well, not put out a movie, but he's been in a movie. Released Magazine Dreams. If you know it, you saw it, and if you didn't, you didn't. That's how movies go. And to your point, he didn't kick in Marvel's door and say, "You owe me, you're King the Conqueror. See you in 2028, bitch." Will Smith didn't go into the MPAA or Producers Guild or the head of Fox Studios or whatever and say, "We can After Earth 2 made, damn it. You owe me this. You're doing it right now." And
lock him up if he ever decide to pitch that. Just lock him up.
Getting it done right now.
Guilty as charged for everything.
And of course, even though they had to eat the crow and play the game and still do what they needed to do, they still managed.
Like, why?
I'm going somewhere with this, damn it. They still managed to move past it eventually because time does heal all wounds. Kevin Hart went through a similar thing too, not necessarily a legal thing, but either way, still was able to move past it, and that is now in the rear view. And you would have thought, especially as someone that should be as media savvy as Patrick Clark, to be able to go, we're going to put a pin in this. We've seen it happen before where WWE has cut people, disgraced them, never to be seen again. But realistically, all of them have come back except Chris Benoit.
Yeah, they're saying, and listen, they're even saying that Alberto Del Rio is going to cross the line via AAA.
Right.
Which you can understand how dangerous that is in the sense of Paige could possibly returning. Yeah, Paige could possibly returning.
But you would think there's a line even in wrestling for certain things. And when it involves underage children, minors, that's the line, man. Like, I know WWE still gives us Hulk Hogan,
allegedly,
racism, but the kids are the line.
I mean, yes, it is, but to his point, prove it.
Yeah,
prove it or shut up. And that is an argument to make. But then again, if you keep talking about it, it won't go away.
That part.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not playing the legal.
So it's been 5 years now. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. Shut the fuck up and move on.
Yeah.
And if anybody was managing his dumbass, and it's apparent that it's not, would tell him, you get back to work through the work.
Yeah.
So if that means that you need to, work a show in bumfuck Egypt, then we fly to Egypt.
It's no different than what I'm sorry. Let me be correct here. To Jamal's point, it's no different than Cora Jade. Right, as soon as she got released, she started talking pretty loud about potential allegations or situations and whatnot. So there's this business aspect of this here, and obviously to your own personal right and dignity, you're going to speak about it. But I always think when it's always business, definitely the X's and Twitter of the world is not where you want to take things to do so. You go to adult route. If it's means for lawyers, call them up. You got a union, hit them up.
That's also the thing too. You're absolutely right. He says in 5 years there's been no case. Well, in 5 years you have a countersuit. So what's really good?
Yeah,
because that sounds like slander to me. If it's true.
Yeah. Matter of fact, that's where you want to take your anger at. If you felt like you've been mistreated and then
instead of chirping on Twitter, you need to call Morgan and Morgan. Let me ask you this though, and we can get out of here after this.
It's like
who comes back to the ring first in a major way, Patrick Clark or Joey Ryan?
Listen, if you would have said Patrick Clark or Tessa Blanchard, I would have loved to have a conversation about that. Because I tell you, when there's one thing
nobody cares about racism.
Not at all.
Tessa would have won that bet. Tessa wins that bet easily.
Yeah.
Hell,
Hogan might get another match before Clark in WWE.
Right.
So
Hogan can wrestle as the Grand Wizard, and he'll still make it on TV before Patrick.
So you said Joey or Patrick Clark? Who gets
Joey Ryan or Patrick Clark?
Oh, Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
Forgot about that guy.
Exactly.
Oh, he's not coming back. He doesn't want to wrestle. He's having a good time at SeaWorld.
He got fired from Disney.
He did get fired. I thought it was SeaWorld.
He got fired from Disneyland out in California because the internet called Disney and said you should not have Joey Ryan working for you.
Now, I can guarantee you that they did that because of the PR aspect. There's no way Disney didn't run a background check.
Oh no! Well, they ran a background check, and everything was good to go. They hired him; he was on the job.
So it's
and a fan came up and
protection.
said, "Oh no, I'm going to take the Twitter to this, and my child will never be in Disney."
That's it.
If that motherfucker's there, doesn't matter who else is working, because we know Mickey's a little sus. But that guy right there serving popcorn, we ain't doing it. But that's still to the point. We haven't heard hide nor hair from him since that incident. And I'm not saying that he has to come back either. He can go. But considering
y'all getting that new I Hate Tessa shirt?
Didn't know there was one.
Yeah, go and look at the TNA page. They just dropped it.
They're steering into the skid? Wow.
They should.
Okay.
They really should.
But to answer the question of which one goes first, I will say if there's a West Bumblefuck show in another country, I think Patrick Clark goes before Joey Ryan.
IWA Mid-South?
They're still in existence? Oh, IWA Mid-South. You know what's funny? I was actually supposed to go to one of their shows, and it was in Cleveland, and something told me, don't go, Damien, don't go. And I canceled it like 3 days beforehand. I'm glad I didn't go.
Decisions, man. Make smarter decisions. All right, let's roll out. That's enough for the week. We'll see what cooks up on the internet in the next 24 hours because Patrick West or Kanye Clark is just getting started. It seems like. One thing I know, I take that back. One thing I don't know is whatever's in the water out in deep bumblefuck Maryland. But besides the Blair Witch, clearly there's something else out there because I don't know what it is, but them folks, man, they know how to show their ass. But yeah, this has been a fun one. Appreciate y'all too showing up tonight. It's good to see y'all here finally. But because I'm here every week. Each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know what it is. The Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast. I'm sure Will will be back next week. I'm sure Celis is going to have to say something silly about Jakar. And for movies for the week, let's see.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to Fight or Flight with Josh Hartnett.
Nice.
I will be seeing that this weekend. Shadow Force looks like a Netflix movie gone bad.
Definitely good on that too.
Yeah, absolutely terrible.
0-2 for me.
Yeah, that looks absolutely terrible. If you haven't seen the new Avengers, hey, that's what it's called. That's what it's called. It's not a spoiler. That's what it's called.
Bravo to them.
But that is actually pretty genius marketing by Marvel and getting that done. Stay through the ending because there's some post-credit scenes that you'll need to see. There's a Vietnamese movie called The Ancestral Home about a house that's haunted if the new owners of the house don't meet if the spirits don't like them, they won't get them the fuck up out of there. Vietnamese are crazy when it comes to like their horror films. So those are some things that are interesting this weekend.
Really quickly, thank you, Tasha Keith, coming through. Cupcake. Just somehow, some way, just saw the chat, but we appreciate you all and everybody else that came through with us tonight, each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Y'all can actually get to us via YouTube. You can also join us on Twitch, also on X. You can also go to the website at bigobelt.com/live. That helps you get right to the live link there. Next week, a lot of movies I'm seeing next week, but I will say of what I did see of this week was Bring Her Back, which is from the directors of Talk to Me, because these two scary cats absolutely didn't see either one of them.
Doing something different.
But crazy. It's the most insane movie. It's so insane. I'm not even sure when I'm gonna watch it again, because it went there. It went there to the T. That movie, and I said it in my reaction tweet that the directors, the brothers, they are team fuck those kids. They're gonna make they and there's one of the most insane.
But not in the Patrick Clark kind of way, though, right?
Damn it, you beat me to it.
There you go. And we're out. Thank you, Jamal. We'll catch y'all next week. No more words from us. See y'all next Thursday.
All I really need, that